Tonight, let's do something gentle. Not brave. Not complicated. Just gentle. Imagine you're in a quiet room with the lights turned low and the world outside has finally softened. The day is finished. The noise is far away now, like traffic heard through rain. Somewhere nearby, a heater clicks once and then settles. A clock keeps its small, steady rhythm, not as a demand, but as a comfort. If you'd like, let your shoulders loosen. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath lengthen, just a little, like a warm blanket being pulled up to your chest. And now, picture a window. Not a dramatic window in a storm, just an ordinary one. A pane of glass that has watched you live. It has seen mornings and groceries, late emails, tired laughter, and the simple kindness of returning home. Tonight, the window holds a different kind of quiet. Beyond it, the sky is dark and wide, and the stars are scattered like slow thoughts. When was the last time you looked up at the night sky and felt at peace? Not amazed, not overwhelmed, just peaceful. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Sleepy Insight channel. Here, you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark. Now, let's begin the story the way many good nights begin. Slowly. Maybe your room is not silent at all. Maybe there's a distant siren that fades, a neighbor's door that closes, a dog that sighs and turns in its sleep. That's okay. A night doesn't have to be perfect to be peaceful. If you're listening after a long day, you might still feel the day's to-do list lingering in your mind, like sticky notes you forgot to peel off. You might be thinking of people you care about, places you have to be, conversations you wish had gone differently. And if that's true, I want you to hear this with your whole body. You don't have to solve anything tonight. You don't have to replay anything tonight. Sleep is not a reward for finishing the day perfectly. Sleep is a doorway you deserve, is less than #0. 6# is greater than simply because you are human. So, let's give the mind something softer to hold. A story is a gentle substitute for worry. It's a ribbon you can wrap around a racing thought, not to tighten it, but to calm it. Imagine, for a moment, that the window in your room is not only a window, it's also a kind of memory. A screen where the night can play its slow film. And as you look out, you might remember other windows from other seasons of your life. Maybe there was a childhood window where you once pressed your forehead to the cool glass, watching rain draw long lines down the pane. Maybe there was a teenage window where you watched streetlights flicker on, dreaming of the life that would someday be yours. Maybe there was an apartment window in a city you don't live in anymore, where you learned what independence tastes like. Coffee and late-night takeout, and the steady hum of living close to other lives. And maybe somewhere along the way, there was a night when you looked up and noticed the sky. A real sky, not just a backdrop. You might have been on a road trip, stepping out at a gas station where the air smelled like pine, and above you, the stars felt shockingly bright. Or you might have been in your own backyard, in a folding chair, letting a summer night wrap around you. Those moments matter more than we think. They are small, but they widen the chest. They remind us that life is not only appointments and numbers. Life is also wonder, quiet and available whenever we slow down enough to notice it. And that is why our journey begins at a window. Because a window is a boundary that doesn't feel like a wall. It separates you from the night, and yet it lets the night visit you. It keeps you safe, and still it offers you the sky. So, if you'd like, imagine placing a warm hand on the sill. Feel the smoothness of the paint, the small dust of ordinary life, the faint coolness that comes from facing the open air. And then, very gently, let your attention drift outward. There is a certain kind of tired that comes from modern life. Not the kind you fix with a nap, but the kind that settles in your shoulders, in your eyes, in the quiet places behind your thoughts. If you're carrying that kind of tired, you don't have to set it down all at once. You can loosen your grip on it. Little by little is less than #0. 6# is greater than the way you loosen a shoelace at the end of the day. Tonight's journey is a small one, even though it will look vast. We're not rushing toward danger. We're not chasing noise. We're simply stepping to the edge of a quiet idea. What if the universe could feel like home for just a while? Picture this: a gentle night above the earth. From the ground, the sky looks like a ceiling, dark, distant, sprinkled with light. But from higher up, the sky is not a ceiling. It is an ocean of silence, and the earth is a glowing island floating in it. You don't have to know anything about rockets. You don't have to remember dates or names. All you need is a feeling. The feeling of looking out and realizing the world is larger than your worries. And yet, somehow, you are still held. So let's create a safe place to stand. In this story, you are not exposed to the cold. You are not alone in a void. You are wrapped in a small, warm sanctuary, like a sleeping bag, like a cocoon, like a quiet room made portable. Imagine a suit, not as armor, but as comfort. A soft pressure around the body is less than #0. 6# is greater than a gentle hum of life support, a steady breath in and out. A spacesuit is, in a way, a tiny spacecraft you wear, a wearable sanctuary built for the silence outside. And inside that sanctuary, there is room for something human. A small photo tucked into a pocket, a patch on the sleeve, a familiar song remembered quietly. In the vastness, the smallest details become anchors. Outside the window of this imagined sanctuary, the earth turns slowly. Clouds curl like soft brushstrokes. City lights gather in golden constellations on the ground. And the oceans is less than #0. 8 is greater than the oceans look like dark silk. There is a kind of silence up there that is hard to describe. On Earth, silence is never complete. Even in the quietest room, there is air moving. There is distance carrying small sounds. There is the world being a world. But in orbit, the outside is truly quiet. No wind, no rustle of leaves, no distant barking dog. Only the steady, friendly whisper of machines inside, like white noise that keeps you company. And then, something curious happens to time. Down here, time can feel like a line. One thing after another is less than #0. 6 is greater than emails and errands and obligations. Up there, time feels more like a tide. Light arrives and leaves again and again, because the world below is turning and the station is moving. In orbit, you can see a sunrise again and again, sometimes every 90 minutes or so, as if the day is breathing. Try to imagine that. A sunrise has a gentle loop, not a deadline. A slow gradient of indigo to pale gold, sliding along the curve of the atmosphere. Not harsh, not blinding, just a soft turning of the light. And because the days repeat in this quiet way, is less than #0. 6 is greater than ordinary routines, becomes strangely tender. Eating becomes careful, because crumbs don't fall. They float. So meals are designed to be calm and contained, sealed and simple, like small rituals of care. Sleeping becomes an art, too. There is no heavy mattress, no familiar pull of gravity. So you sleep in a padded cocoon attached to a wall, a gentle nest that keeps you from drifting. Some people say it feels like being hugged by the air. Some people say the brain dreams differently. Floating dreams, soft scenes that dissolve into light. And in these quiet routines is less than #0. 6 is greater than the body begins to learn a new language. Blood shifts a little. The senses adjust. Even taste can feel different, like your nose is slightly stuffy after a long flight, making familiar foods seem muted until spices wake them gently. But there is no panic in this story. Only adaptation. Only the quiet intelligence of a human body learning the way we have always learned. Slowly, patiently, one small day at a time. Now, here comes a small seed of wonder. A soft discovery. The kind that makes the mind smile and then relax again. It begins with something simple. A tear. Not a dramatic tear, just the kind that appears when you yawn or when a memory brushes your heart. On Earth, a tear rolls down the cheek and disappears. In orbit, it doesn't fall. It gathers. It becomes a small, shining bead that clings gently to the eye, held there by surface tension, like a tiny moon made of water. And maybe, as you imagine that tiny shining bead, you can feel something ease inside you. Because even in a place as strange as space, the rules are still tender in their own way. The universe doesn't rush a tear. It lets it hover. It lets it shine. This is what tonight's story will be like. Not a lesson. Not a list of facts. A slow walk through quiet moments, where science becomes a lantern and wonder becomes a soft pillow. If you're listening with tired eyes, you can let them close whenever you want. Nothing here needs to be held tightly. The images can blur. The words can become background, like waves. And still, we'll keep drifting toward a window that looks out on the earth, toward a band of light on the horizon, toward a feeling some travelers describe is less than #0. 8# is greater than a shift in the heart that comes from seeing the planet as one home, with no dividing lines except the ones we imagine. That feeling has a name, and we will come to it, gently. But not yet. For now, stay with the window. Stay with the steady breath inside the sanctuary. Stay with the soft loop of sunrise. Because in the next part of our journey, we'll drift a little closer to the glass, and we'll notice something surprising about the colors of Earth at night and the quiet music of the aurora from above. Come a little closer to the glass. Not with effort is less than #0. 6# is greater than not with tension, just with attention. As if you're leaning toward a night window at home, careful not to wake anyone, curious in the gentlest way. Outside, Earth is wearing night like a soft coat. The oceans are dark velvet, almost black, but never empty. They hold slow currents and quiet tides, moving as they always have, even when no one is watching. The continents are quieter, too. From this height, there are no arguments in the air, no traffic horns, no ringing phones. There is only light, and dark is less than #0. 6# is greater than arranged, like a calm painting. City lights gather into warm clusters. Some are dense and bright, like embers in a fireplace. Some are thin and scattered, like lanterns along a country road. Coastlines glow like necklaces laid on the edge of water. If your day has felt crowded, let this wide view make room inside you. In and out. Let the exhale be a little longer, as if you're smoothing a sheet across a bed. Inside the sanctuary of the suit, your breath is the main sound. It arrives with a soft hush, then leaves again, steady and kind. Behind it, the craft keeps its quiet rhythm. Fans, pumps, the gentle purr of systems doing their patient work. The glass in front of you is cool in imagination. You could place a fingertip on the frame, the way you might touch a door frame at night, just to feel that the house is real. And as you do, you notice a thin line along Earth's curve, a delicate rim of pale blue. That blue edge is atmosphere. So thin from here, so soft it looks painted. It is the curtain that turns raw sunlight into dawn, and turns a hard universe into a place where lungs can fill. It is, in its own quiet way, a kind of protection you can feel grateful for Gratitude can be small tonight. No lists, just one thought. Thank you for air, for rest, for this moment. Some people think the most surprising thing about being up here is how quickly the mind stops reaching for drama. The view is enormous, and yet it makes you quieter, not louder. It's as if the brain understands that a wide horizon means there is nothing chasing you. If you've been living with constant alerts, screens glowing, calendars filling, is less than #0. 6# is greater than news, arriving like thunder. Let this be the opposite. A place where nothing needs your reply. A place where the only notification is the gentle change of light. Inside, the cabin light is low and honeyed. It doesn't shine from above like an office. It pools softly in corners, making shadows that feel like blankets. A glove hangs near a handrail, tethered by a thin cord, drifting as if it's waving hello. There is a small notebook strapped to a panel. Everything is clipped and secured, because even calm things float here. The ordinary becomes careful. Careful becomes calming. Sometimes, after a spacewalk, people notice a faint metallic scent on gloves and fabric, a quiet signature left by the outside. Not frightening, just unfamiliar, like the smell of a cold garage in winter, or the clean edge of rain on iron. It's the mind's way of saying, gently, this place is different. Different can be peaceful. Different can be a vacation from your usual thoughts. Even your worries, if they follow you here, seem to speak more quietly, as if they don't want to disturb the view. The craft continues its smooth orbit, and the night shifts beneath you. A cloud band slides over the lights, softening them, the way a curtain softens a lamp. Over the ocean, moonlight breaks into pale fragments, then disappears again. Somewhere far below, waves are folding and unfolding on a shore. Not loudly, patiently. A rhythm older than schedules, older than worry. And then, along the curve of Earth, the first hint of something unusual appears. At first, it is only a faint thread, almost transparent, is less than #0. 6# is greater than like someone traced the night with a green pencil. You could miss it if you blinked. But the thread remains. It brightens slowly, not with a flash, but with a bloom. It stretches into a ribbon, then loosens into folds, then gathers again, as if it is breathing. From above, the aurora does not feel like fireworks. It feels like silk, a living fabric of light, moving with patience. Green, sometimes edged with faint violet, like watercolor bleeding into paper. On Earth, people travel long distances to see it. They stand in cold fields and wait. Sometimes the sky gifts them color, and sometimes it gives them only darkness and the lesson of waiting. Up here, the color arrives without demand. It simply appears, as if the planet is wearing a gentle halo. For a moment, the aurora makes you think of the first time you ever waited for something beautiful. Not a big achievement, just a quiet waiting. Maybe it was waiting for snow to begin, watching the streetlight for the first pale flakes. Maybe it was waiting for a kettle to sing is less than #0, 6# is greater than, and feeling the warmth spread through the kitchen before anyone else woke. Maybe it was waiting for someone you loved to come home, listening for the familiar sound of a car door closing outside. Waiting like that is a kind of trust. And the aurora is trust made visible. The sky showing up slowly, in its own time, without needing to be forced. The science is simple enough to hold, even when you're sleepy. The sun sends out tiny charged visitors. Earth's magnetic field guides them toward the poles. High above the clouds, they meet the thin air, and energy becomes glow. Is less than shown, 2# is greater than, physics, turning into beauty. You don't need to memorize it. You can just feel it. The world is alive. The world is held. The world is quiet enough to shine. If you notice your thoughts trying to race, let them slow down to match the ribbon. In and out. Let the ribbon gather, loosen, gather again. Let your mind do the same. Inside the cabin, something small floats near the window. A tiny sphere of water. A droplet released from a dispenser, gathering itself into a perfect globe. It wobbles gently, is less than #0, 6# is greater than catching the cabin light, holding a tiny upside-down reflection of everything. It looks like a miniature planet, a clear world with no continents, no borders, only surface tension keeping it whole. A fingertip touches it, and it stretches into an oval, then returns to round, as if it knows how to come back to itself. There is a kindness in that, if you let yourself notice. To be changed for a moment, and still return. To wobble, and still settle. The droplet's reflection is upside down, is less than #0, 6# is greater than, and that feels like a quiet joke. The universe tells when it trusts you to smile softly. In the tiny globe, the window's a curved line, the lights are little suns, and the dark corners of the cabin become deep space. It reminds you that perspective is always changing. What looks heavy from one angle can look small from another. What feels urgent at 2 a.m. can feel manageable by morning. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is let your mind rotate gently, the way Earth rotates, until the sharp edge of a thought turns away from you. If you'd like, is less than #0, 6# is greater than. Imagine placing one worry into that droplet, sealing it inside the clear sphere. Not to trap it forever, just to hold it safely, so it can't scrape at you while you rest. You can open the sphere tomorrow, if you truly need to. Tonight, it can float quietly nearby, like luggage left in a hallway. This is how the night teaches you, softly. Not with commandments, but with little images that help your nervous system feel safe. A ribbon of light, a round droplet, a planet turning without hurry. Outside, the aurora brightens again, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, then thins into delicate strands. And as the craft glides forward, dawn begins to gather on the horizon. A thin seam of indigo lifts into pale gold. Not a harsh morning, just a gentle return of light. Up here, sunrise happens often, like a lullaby chorus repeating. It can make time feel softer, less like a pressure, more like a cycle you can float in. If your life has felt linear and sharp, let it become round tonight. The halo fades as the day side brightens, but the memory of it stays, like color behind closed eyelids. And in that afterglow is less than #0. 6# is greater than a new curiosity forms, small and warm. Beyond Earth's blue rim, in the steady field of stars, there is a point that doesn't feel like a star. Faint, reddish, patient. A traveler you can look at without leaving your bed. It waits out there, like a quiet ember. And in the next part of our journey, we'll let that ember guide us toward a gentle surprise. A sunset on a rust-colored world that turns, impossibly, to blue. Keep your attention soft, as if you're holding a warm mug with both hands. Nothing tight, nothing sharp, just warmth and a slow, steady quiet. Outside the window, the day side of Earth brightens into pale blues and milky whites. Clouds look like brushed cotton. The ocean becomes a calm, deep sapphire, smooth from this height, as if the planet has placed a hand over its own heartbeat. And yet, in the far field of stars, there is that other point. Not quite a star, not quite a light that belongs to Earth. A faint ember, reddish, patient. Mars. You don't have to know its numbers. You don't have to picture maps. Just imagine the feeling of it. A rust-colored world, far away, waiting quietly in the dark. There is something calming about distant things. They don't demand. They don't interrupt. They simply exist, like a thought you can return to whenever you need space inside your mind. If your day has been full of messages, let Mars be the opposite of a message. No alert, no vibration, just a quiet ember. Inside the cabin, a hand reaches for a strap and tightens it with care. A floating pouch is guided back to its clip. A pencil is tethered, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, as if it's a small animal that likes to wander. Everything here is arranged to keep the mind calm. Even ordinary tasks become slow rituals. A sip of water is taken carefully, because liquids don't pour, they gather. A small packet of food is opened gently, because crumbs can drift like tiny satellites. A stretch is done with patience, because the body is learning what up and down mean when they're no longer strict rules. There is a strange kindness in that. When the world becomes unfamiliar, you return to care. You do small things slowly. You pay attention. You make yourself safe through gentleness. If you want, Let that be true for you tonight. Do one small thing slowly. A longer exhale, a softer forehead, an unclenched hand. The craft continues its orbit. Light shifts across panels. A shadow slides over a corner and then leaves again. Time here feels like a looped ribbon, not a straight road. A day can contain many sunrises, not because the day is frantic, but because the motion is steady. Every so often, the horizon ignites into a thin line of gold, then fades, then returns again. It is like watching someone dim and brighten a bedside lamp, over and over, until your brain stops expecting urgency from light. If you've ever felt your nervous system jump at notifications, you understand. Light can become a cue for stress. Sound can become a cue for stress. Even your own thoughts can become cues. So this story offers new cues. A hum that means safety. A window that means perspective. A distant ember that means calm curiosity. In the quiet hours, the mind starts to notice details it usually skips. The way a Velcro strip sounds like soft rain when it opens. The way a glove drifts as if it's breathing. The way a small paper star chart, folded and worn at the creases, can feel like a bridge back to childhood wonder. The chart opens slowly. Lines and dots appear, not as homework, but as a gentle map of patience. Constellations are not fences in the sky. They are stories humans drew to keep themselves company. Maybe that's what you're doing right now. Letting a story keep you company. Letting your mind feel less alone in the dark. And when you look up from the paper, is less than #0. 6# is greater than the ember is still there. Mars, faint and steady. It is easy to imagine Mars as harsh. A cold desert, wind-blown dust, silence without air. But the mind doesn't have to go there. Tonight, we choose a softer lens. We choose evening. We choose the way light behaves in thin air. We choose the gentle surprise of color. Imagine standing on a wide plain. The ground is rust red, like powdered clay. Stones lie scattered like old bones of mountains. The horizon is far and quiet. And above, the sky is thinner than Earth's, is less than #0. 6# is greater than so thin it feels like a whisper. On Earth, sunsets often burn red and gold. Our thick air scatters blue light, leaving warm colors behind. It is familiar, like a lamp being turned down. Mars keeps different rules. Dust hangs in its thin atmosphere, fine and floating. And when the sun lowers, the sky near the sun can turn softly blue. Not neon, not loud. A pale, gentle blue, like watercolor washed across paper. A blue sunset on a rust-colored world. A tender contradiction. Hold it for a moment. The red ground, the thin sky, the small sun, and the blue that gathers quietly, as if the universe is speaking in a softer voice than you expected. Sometimes the mind needs contradictions like this. They loosen rigid thoughts. They remind you that what you assume isn't always true. If you've been assuming you can't rest until everything is solved, let that assumption soften. If you've been assuming you have to carry everything alone, let that assumption loosen. If you've been assuming you must be strong by holding on, consider a gentler strength, letting go. Back in the cabin is less than #0. 6# is greater than Earth returns to view, blue and bright, wrapped in its thin, glowing rim. The comparison is quiet and kind. Two worlds, both beautiful, each in its own way. And you, listening from your own room, are also a world with weather. Some days are sunny, some are stormy, some are simply overcast and tired. None of that means you are broken. It only means you are alive. If tonight has felt like a storm inside, let this be your thin blue rim, a boundary of calm, a small protection, a reminder that the storm can pass without you wrestling it. Outside, the stars remain steady. Inside, the hum remains steady. And in your body, your breath remains steady. In and out. In and out. Sometimes, in the middle of such a quiet scene, the mind tries to ask practical questions. How would anyone live there? How would anyone grow food or make air feel like home? We won't turn those questions into worry. We'll turn them into gentle images. Picture a small habitat, not a fortress, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, but a warm lamplit room set down on a wide plain. Inside, light is amber and soft. A few green leaves rest in a clear container, breathing quietly in their own slow rhythm. Not a jungle, just a handful of life, enough to remind the heart what alive looks like. Outside, the dust may drift, but inside, the air is calm. A small filter hums, steady and patient, like white noise in a bedroom. A kettle warms water. A cup is held with both hands. Steam rises in a thin ribbon. And, for a moment, the universe feels surprisingly domestic. It's a comforting thought. Even far away, humans would still do small things. They would tuck corners of blankets. They would straighten a photo on a shelf. They would take a breath before sleep. Because the heart doesn't need grandeur. It needs steadiness. It needs little rituals that say, you are safe. And perhaps that's why the blue sunset matters. It's not only a physics detail. It's a message in color. Even here, there is softness. Even here, the sky knows how to soothe. Back at the window, the craft glides on, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, and your imagined view shifts again. The blue rim of Earth brightens, then dims as the orbit carries you onward. The aurora is gone for now, but the memory of it remains, like color behind closed eyes. If tonight's story is stirring something tender in you, let it be tender. No judgment, no hurry. Just the quiet truth that you have lived through many days, and now you're allowed to rest. Somewhere between Earth and that distant ember, there is another gentle idea that often arrives at night. Time is not as rigid as it feels. It can stretch, is less than #0, 6# is greater than, and soften, and behave like a flexible thread. You don't need formulas. Just imagine a thread running through your day. At work, the thread is pulled tight. In traffic, it tightens again. In worry, it knots. But here, with the window and the hum, the thread loosens. And when the thread loosens, your thoughts loosen too. A mistake becomes smaller. A fear becomes softer. A memory becomes kinder, like a photograph warmed by lamplight. And your body remembers, quietly, that sleep is a gentle travel tonight. Soon is less than #0. 6# is greater than our journey will widen again. Not to overwhelm you, but to soothe you. We will look down and feel the borders blur, and we will notice what happens to the heart when the whole world becomes one quiet home. But for now, stay with the blue sunset. Stay with the idea that tenderness exists where you least expect it. And let that tenderness guide you, gently, toward deeper rest. Let the pace slow even more now. Not because anything is wrong, but because you are safe enough to drift. If your eyelids feel heavy, let them be heavy. If your thoughts feel loose, let them loosen. Outside the window, Earth is still turning. The curve is gentle, like the edge of a bowl. The atmosphere is a thin blue seam, a soft border between warmth and vastness. And then, quietly, something changes. Not in the sky, not in the engines, not in the light. The change happens in the way the mind holds the view. It is a small shift, almost like the moment you realize you've been clenching your hands and you finally let them open. The world below looks less like a place you must manage, is less than #0. 6# is greater than and more like a place you belong to. This quiet shift has a name. Some travelers call it the overview effect. But you don't need the label. You only need the feeling. From here, borders do not appear. There are no lines drawn across the land. No fences in the sea. No arguments rising into the air. There is just one home, floating softly in the dark. If you have been carrying stress that feels personal, let this perspective make it lighter. If you have been carrying stress that feels global, let this perspective soften it. Not by dismissing it, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, but by reminding you. You are one human heart on one shared planet. In this gentle view, the planet looks cared for. Not because everything is perfect down there, but because the Earth keeps doing what it does. It turns. It breathes clouds across oceans. It gathers storms and releases them. It grows green where it can. It rests where it must. And somehow, without asking you to fix anything, it invites you to rest too. Inside the cabin, the hum continues. A steady white noise kindness. A reminder that calm can be manufactured carefully is less than #0. 6# is greater than lovingly. You might imagine the sound like distant ocean surf, low and constant. In and out. In and out. Now, another soft discovery arrives, the kind that feels like a small secret shared with you. In the quiet outside, certain things behave differently. Not dramatically, just differently. A tiny fleck of metal, if brought very close to another clean piece of metal, can cling in the vacuum. Not because of glue, not because of magnets, because the surfaces, perfectly clean, decide to meet. It's called cold welding, but tonight it can simply be a reminder that closeness changes things. Sometimes, the mind is like that too. When thoughts are kept apart, they remain sharp. When they are allowed to touch, gently, they soften into connection. A memory touches the present. A worry touches a kind thought. A tired body touches a safe bed. And something holds. Outside, the planet keeps turning under a quilt of cloud. A storm system curls like a sleepy spiral, beautiful from far away. You can see lightning sometimes, but not as fear is less than #0. 7# is greater than as faint flashes inside cotton. Even energy looks softer from a distance. And then, very gently, your attention drifts farther. Not away from Earth, but past it, to the moon. The moon appears like a quiet stone in the dark. No shimmer of air around it. No softening haze. Just pale, steady presence. And on that pale surface, there are marks that may last a very long time. Footprints pressed into fine dust. A ladder imprint. A track line from a wheel. Not because anyone is preserving them, but because there is no wind to erase them, is less than #0. 6# is greater than no rain to wash them away. It is one of the quietest facts of space. Some traces remain, simply because the world is still. If you're carrying the fear that everything disappears too quickly, let this fact comfort you. Not as a promise that all things last, but as a whisper. Some gentle things do. A kind word. A steady presence. A habit of showing up. A note you wrote to someone when they were struggling. These can be footprints too. The moon doesn't ask for applause. It simply holds its quiet marks. And you, listening tonight, is less than #0. 6# is greater than are allowed to hold your own quiet marks with tenderness. Back in the cabin, A small light glows amber. It makes the panels look warm, not technical. It turns switches into shapes, shadows into blankets. A strap is checked. A handrail is gripped for a moment, then released. Everything is slow enough to feel like a lullaby. Sometimes, people up here report a tiny flash in the dark, a brief spark in their vision when cosmic rays pass through the eye. It sounds strange, but it is not a horror. It is more like the universe tapping softly on the window is less than #0. 6# is greater than saying, I am here. If you've ever seen a firefly at the edge of a summer yard, you understand the feeling. A small blink of light, then darkness again. A reminder that the night can contain gentle surprises. And now, the story offers you the calmest surprise of all. The mind, when it feels safe, changes its priorities. It stops scanning for threat. It starts noticing beauty. Beauty in a thin blue rim. Beauty in a ribbon of aurora. Beauty in a droplet floating like a tiny planet. Beauty in the idea that a footprint can rest undisturbed. This is not escapism. It is regulation. It is the nervous system remembering that the world contains safe moments too. If your life has been loud lately, you may have forgotten that. So tonight, we practice remembering. Let your breath be the anchor. In and out. Let your jaw be loose. Let your tongue rest. Let your shoulders sink as if gravity has returned, kind and slow. And let time be different here. Not a ruler, not a whip, just a flexible thread. In orbit, time is measured by sunrises. On the moon, time is measured by shadows. In your room, time can be measured by breaths. One breath, another, and another. There is a small photograph secured near the window. Just paper and ink, nothing dramatic. A porch at dusk. A cup of tea on a railing. A pair of hands, older, steady, resting together in the soft light. The photograph is not there to make anyone sad. It is there to make the cabin feel human. To remind the heart that even in the widest place, tenderness still fits. If you have your own porch memory, you can let it come. A summer night with cicadas. A winter night with snow tapping the window. A quiet kitchen where someone you loved moved softly, trying not to wake the house. Memories like these are not traps. They are blankets. They don't pull you backward. They soften you downward, into rest. Outside, Earth slips into night again. The dayside fades. The city constellations return. Over water, darkness becomes wide and generous. And now, the overview feeling deepens a little more. Not with drama, just with clarity. You notice that the planet is not only beautiful, it is fragile in a gentle way, held together by thin layers by balances, by quiet agreements between sunlight and air and water. It is the kind of fragility that makes you careful, not afraid. The kind that invites you to be kind, not harsh. If you could send one small message to the world below, it wouldn't be loud. It would be simple. Slow down. Be gentle. Remember, you belong to each other. And if you could send one small message to yourself, it might be the same. Somewhere inside the cabin is less than #0. 6# is greater than a clock ticks. Not because anyone is late, just because time is passing in its quiet way. In a place that moves so fast around the planet, it is strange to think that time can be slightly different. A little stretched, a little shifted. Not enough to worry about, but enough to make you smile at the idea. The universe is not a rigid grid. It is a fabric. A fabric can crease gently. A fabric can soften at the edges. A fabric can hold you without squeezing. If you've been measuring your worth in minutes, you can stop measuring for a while. If you've been counting what you didn't finish, you can stop counting. If you've been replaying what you should have said, you can let the replay fade. In the corner of the window, the aurora returns. Faint at first, then brighter, then gently waving. It looks like the planet is breathing color. And as you watch, you feel a small promise quietly forming. The world can be vast, and you can still be safe. The night can be dark, and you can still be held. If you'd like, let your body sink a little deeper into the surface beneath you. Let your breathing become almost automatic. Let your thoughts become a slow drift of clouds. Because in the next part of our journey, we'll follow the feeling of connection all the way to its quiet conclusion. That even a single person at rest can be a small act of healing. For now, stay with the halo. Stay with the footprints. Stay with the soft fabric of time. Stay with the slow rhythm. Nothing to chase. Nothing to prove. Just the soft turning of attention, like a lighthouse beam moving across dark water. Outside the window, the planet drifts in and out of night. Blue becomes shadow. Shadow becomes blue again. And each time the rim of atmosphere catches the sun, it glows thin, pale, gentle, like a promise made of light. From here, the earth looks quiet enough to forgive itself. Quiet enough to be simply what it is, a living sphere of water and stone, wrapped in breath. If you've been holding yourself too tightly, imagine loosening the grip the way the planet loosens into darkness. Not collapsing, not giving up, just resting. In the cabin, there is a small strap, a clip, a place for everything. Even a thought can be given a place. So if a worry rises up, you can treat it gently, acknowledge it, name it softly, and set it down beside you as if it were a coat you can pick up tomorrow. A quiet fact returns, the one we carry like a pebble in the pocket of the mind. In this floating room, liquid becomes a globe. A droplet gathers itself into roundness, holding together by the simple kindness of surface tension. It wobbles. It steadies. It learns how to be whole again. And the longer you look, the more it starts to feel like a small lesson about being human. We wobble. We steady. We stretch under touch. And we return. If tonight you feel stretched by responsibilities, by grief, by a mind that refuses to settle, let that droplet speak to you without words. It says, you can change shape for a while and still come back to yourself. Now, let your attention drift outward again. Beyond the cabin light, beyond the glass, beyond the thin blue rim, there is a deeper dark filled with quiet points of fire. Stars don't flicker because they are nervous. They flicker because their light has traveled through moving air and moving distance to reach us. Even the shimmer is a kind of journey. And journeys can be soft. They can be slow enough for the heart. There is an old idea that still feels new when you're tired. The universe is vast, but it does not require you to be vast. You are allowed to be small. You are allowed to be ordinary. You are allowed to be someone who simply wants to sleep. Somewhere far below, on the night side of the world, the ocean is making its steady, unremarkable music. Wave after wave, without applause. The ocean doesn't ask if it did enough today. It just continues. If your mind has been asking that question, did I do enough? Let the ocean answer for you. It answers in rhythm. It answers in repetition. It answers with a gentle truth. Doing enough can sometimes mean resting enough. From the window, you can see storms as soft spirals, not threats. You can see deserts as warm brown brushstrokes. You can see mountain ranges as wrinkles in the skin of a living world. And you can see lights where people are awake, where they are working late, where they are holding a hand, where they are trying to make tomorrow kinder. The view does not erase hardship. It reframes it. It reminds the heart that every life is a small light, and all the lights together make a constellation that can be seen from far away. This is where the quiet expansion happens. Not a twist that startles, a twist that softens. You might think peace is a place you have to reach, like a destination at the end of a long road. But from here, peace looks more like a practice. A simple choice, repeated. Soften, breathe, return. In and out. In and out. The craft glides onward. Night returns. And with night, the aurora gathers again. Faint green threads that curl and loosen like silk underwater. From above, it feels less like spectacle and more like reassurance, like the planet saying, in color, I am still here. If you have ever needed reassurance, you know it rarely arrives as fireworks. It arrives as small steadiness, a friend replying, a warm lamp, a familiar song, a body that keeps breathing, even when the mind forgets how. There is another quiet traveler in this story, one you do not have to see with your eyes. Long ago, a small craft was sent outward with a simple message. Not a demand, not a warning, just a greeting carried into the dark. It moves on and on, patient as a lullaby. Not lonely, just faithful. And that image can be comforting if you let it be. Because it suggests that even the smallest offerings, kindness, curiosity, a gentle voice in the night, can travel farther than we ever know. Maybe you have already sent such offerings without realizing it. A message you wrote when someone was struggling. A meal you made for a tired person. A moment when you chose patience instead of sharpness. These are small signals too. They move through time. From the window, you see the earth as one home. And the soft discovery is this: the feeling of connection is not something you have to force. It rises naturally when you stop bracing. It rises when you let the planet be round, and you let your life be imperfect, and you let your breath be enough. If you'd like, place a hand over your chest for just a moment, or imagine you are doing so. Feel the steady movement there. A small engine. A quiet tide. A personal rhythm that has carried you through every night you thought you couldn't. And now, notice something else. Your rest is not only for you. When you rest, you become softer with the world. Your voice becomes kinder. Your patience grows. Your decisions become less sharp. Rest is a small act of healing that ripples outward. And when you look at the planet from this quiet distance, you can almost sense how many nights have passed beneath those clouds. Millions of small evenings, each one carrying ordinary lives towards sleep. Somewhere, a porch light has just clicked off. Somewhere, a dishwasher is humming like a lullaby. Somewhere, a parent is tucking in a blanket with a careful hand. Somewhere, a nurse is finishing a shift and driving home under streetlights. Somewhere, a lonely person is finding comfort in the simple fact that the moon still rises. All of it is happening at once. And yet from here, it looks like one quiet living thing. That is the strange mercy of distance. It doesn't make your life smaller in a cruel way. It makes your life smaller in a tender way. Like a candle in a window that still matters even in a dark neighborhood. If you've been measuring your days by what went wrong, tonight you can measure by what endured. A breath endured. A relationship endured. A quiet hope endured. A body endured, carrying you through hours that felt too long. There is a simple physics idea that can sound like poetry when you're sleepy. In space, there is no up or down. Only here and there. Only near and far. And that can be a relief. Because sometimes in life, we treat emotions like directions. We say we are down, and we panic. We say we should be up, and we force ourselves. But tonight, you can let that language soften. You are not up or down. You are here. And here is safe enough for sleep. Think of time as that flexible thread again. Tonight, the thread is not being pulled. It is resting in gentle curves, like yarn in a basket. Your memories can sit beside you without hurting. Your plans can wait on a shelf without shouting. Even your regrets can become quieter, like distant traffic that fades as you walk deeper into a park. If you want, imagine the season changing. Not in a dramatic way, just the soft rotation of the year. The world keeps cycling, is less than #0, 6 is greater than, and the cycles keep inviting you back to rest. And in that quiet moment, under the endless sky, something felt different. Not because the world changed instantly, but because the heart remembered its true size. Small enough to be held, large enough to care. This is the gentle climax of our story. Not a dramatic reveal, a quiet understanding. The universe does not ask you to be awake forever. It asks you to move in cycles, light and dark, inhale and exhale, work and rest like the planet beneath the window. If your life has been out of rhythm, tonight can be a small return. A return to simple things, a slower breath, a softer face, a mind that lets go of the day, as if releasing a balloon into the night sky. Imagine the balloon drifting upward, not rushing, not struggling, just becoming smaller against the stars until it is only a point, and then not even that. Now, bring your attention back to the window one last time. The earth is still there, wide and calm. And you are still here, listening. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. And if this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself. Not for performance, just as a small footprint in the dust of this moment. In the next part, we'll begin to descend from the wide view back toward your room, bringing the feeling of safety with us, like a warm light carried in the palm of the hand. Now the wide view can begin to soften, not because it is disappearing, but because you don't have to hold it so tightly anymore. The planet will keep turning, whether you watch it or not. The aurora will keep breathing in ribbons of green. The distant ember of Mars will keep waiting in the dark. And you can begin to return. Return is not a step backward. Return is part of the cycle. Like sunrise and night, like tide and shore, like inhale and exhale. So let your attention drift away from the glass. Not abruptly, just the way a lullaby drifts away from your conscious mind while your body keeps listening. Inside the cabin, the light is still low and honeyed. The corners hold soft shadows. A tethered pen floats in a lazy arc, then settles. A strap lies flat against a panel, like a ribbon laid carefully on a table. Everything here is designed for steadiness. Not excitement, not urgency. Steadiness. It's a word that matters more as we get older. When you're young, the world can feel like it belongs to speed. But at some point, the nervous system begins to prefer the reliable over the thrilling. A familiar mug, a lamp in the corner, a friend who doesn't rush you, a quiet story at the end of the day. If you're listening tonight in that season of life where peace feels more valuable than proving yourself, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. Take a slow breath, and on the exhale, imagine the cabin light dimming slightly. Not darkness is less than #0. 6 is greater than just softer. Like a theater after the film ends, when the audience stays seated for a moment, letting the story settle into the body. The most beautiful things often arrive without noise. A ribbon of aurora, a blue sunset on a red world, a footprint resting undisturbed in pale dust. They don't shout to be noticed. They simply exist, and in their quietness, they invite you to quiet too. There is a thought that sometimes rises in moments like this. It is not a lesson you have to force. It is more like a gentle conclusion your heart arrives at by itself. The thought is less than "hey shown." 2 is greater than "you are allowed to be unfinished when you go to sleep." Unanswered emails, unmade decisions, unspoken sentences, even the feelings you don't fully understand yet. You can set them down for now. The earth will not tilt off its axis because you rested. The universe will not collapse because you paused. And tomorrow will still arrive, not as a punishment, but as another sunrise, gentle, repeating, forgiving. If you want a small image to hold, here is one. Picture your day as a handful of pebbles. Some smooth, some sharp, some heavy. You've been carrying them in your pockets. And now, in this quiet cabin of imagination, you find a small shelf. You take the pebbles out one by one. Not angrily, not with disappointment, just with care. And you place them on the shelf. They will still be there tomorrow if you need them. But tonight, your hands are empty. Empty hands can rest more easily. Empty hands can soften. Empty hands can become warm under a blanket. Now, let the story bring you back toward your own room. Not with a sudden drop, but with the same slow grace the earth turns with. Imagine the window in space fading into the window at home. The glass is still there, but the view changes. Instead of aurora, you might see a streetlight glow on wet pavement. Instead of the curve of the planet, you might see the gentle curve of a curtain. Instead of the hum of systems, you might hear your own room's quiet, a fan, a heater, the distant hush of your neighborhood. And still, the feeling stays. The feeling of being held. Some people think connection has to be loud, but the overview feeling taught us something else. Connection can be silent. Connection can be a shared sky, a shared planet, a shared need for sleep at the end of the day. If you're listening from a city, someone across the street is turning off a light. If you're listening from a small town, someone is locking a door and checking the stove. If you're listening from a quiet house, someone is adjusting a blanket for a child. If you're listening alone, know this: even aloneness is part of the human pattern, and it does not mean you are forgotten. Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark. Sometimes, as we get older, memory becomes a room we visit often at night. Not because we want to get stuck there, but because memory contains warmth. It contains the sound of someone calling your name kindly. It contains the smell of a kitchen at midnight. It contains the way sunlight looked on a floor in a place you used to live. If a memory comes tonight, let it come softly. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to make it mean anything. Just let it pass through like a slow cloud. You can even imagine memory the way we imagine the droplet, a small globe that holds an image. It floats for a while. It catches light, and then it drifts away, is less than #0. 6# is greater than leaving you lighter. There is a gentle truth in astronomy that matches the way healing works. Light takes time to travel. Some starlight reaching your eyes tonight began its journey before you were born. It crossed distance patiently, without rushing, without demanding your attention. Healing can be like that. Not instant, not dramatic, a patient travel of light. If you've been wishing you could be over something already, be gentle with yourself. If you've been wishing your mind would settle faster, be gentle. Some parts of you are still crossing distance, is less than #0. 5# is greater than, they're still arriving. And that's okay. Tonight, you don't need to finish the journey. You only need to rest beside it. Picture a shoreline at night. The water is dark, but not threatening. It folds in and out, a slow breathing. And you sit on the sand with a blanket around your shoulders. You don't try to control the ocean. You don't try to count the waves. You simply let the sound take care of you. That is what we are doing now. Letting the rhythm take care of you. In and out. In and out. If your mind wanders, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, that's part of the lullaby. If you lose a sentence, that's a sign you're getting closer to sleep. You don't have to hold every word. Let the words be like starlight arriving whether you chase them or not. Before we move deeper, I want to offer you one more gentle bridge between the wide sky and your own life. Imagine the room you're in now as its own small spacecraft. Not metal and switches, but objects arranged to keep you safe. A pillow that remembers the shape of your head. A blanket with warmth. A glass of water nearby. Perhaps a book on the nightstand. Closed is less than #2. 0# is greater than, and somewhere beyond your walls, there is the same sky we've been watching. Maybe you can't see it from your window. Maybe city lights wash it pale. But it's there. The moon, the planets, the scatter of stars, still keeping their patient rhythm. When was the last time you looked up at the night sky and felt at peace. You don't have to answer now. You can let the question float like our little droplet. Sometimes a question like that becomes a soft doorway back to yourself. Maybe your peaceful sky was years ago, on a vacation, standing by a lake. Maybe it was last week, is less than #0. 6# is greater than stepping outside to take out the trash and noticing the moon by accident. Maybe it was tonight, right now, simply imagining a thin blue rim around Earth and feeling your shoulders drop. If tonight's story brings a gentle memory to you, and if you ever feel like sharing it, you can leave it in the comments. Not as a performance, but as a quiet lantern for someone else who is listening in the dark. And if you'd rather keep your memory private, that's perfect too. You can simply whisper it inward. A small thank you to yourself for surviving the day. For arriving here is less than #0. 6# is greater than for choosing rest. Now, a final soft expansion for this part. Consider the footprints on the moon again. Marks that remain because the world is still. What footprints are you leaving in your own life? Not achievements, not headlines, the quiet ones. The way you show up for someone when you're tired. The way you choose gentleness with yourself after a mistake. The way you keep going, even when no one applauds. These are marks that last. Not because the world never changes, but because kindness imprints itself in memory. If you'd like, you can leave one small kind footprint for yourself right now. A thought as simple as, "I did enough for today." Or, "I am safe right now." Or even, "I can rest." The room around you can fade slightly at the edges. The story can become softer. Because in the next part, we'll begin to lower the lights even more, bringing you into the deep, steady calm, where sleep feels inevitable, like the planet turning into night. Let everything become a little simpler now. Not smaller in meaning, just softer in shape. As if the night is gently turning down, the volume on the world is less than #2. 0# is greater than, you don't have to hold the view anymore. You don't have to keep imagining distances. The wide sky can remain wide without your attention holding it. So we step back from the glass. Not with a closing sound, not with a click, not with finality, just with the quiet grace of a curtain drifting into place. Inside, the light is dim and honeyed. It makes everything gentle. Edges blur slightly. Corners soften. And the steady hum becomes more noticeable, like distant waves you can trust. If you'd like, imagine that hum becoming the sound of your own room. A fan turning slowly. A heater breathing warm air. A refrigerator far away, keeping its quiet rhythm. The world outside can keep moving, but your space is allowed to be still. Now, let your breath be the center again. Not as a task, just as the simplest proof of safety. In and out. In and out. If your mind is still trying to hold on to the day, you can speak to it gently. Not with force. Not with frustration. Just with a soft instruction, like you'd speak to someone you love when they're tired. It's okay. You can stop working now is less than #2. 0 is greater than. Let your forehead smooth. Let your eyes rest in their sockets. Let your tongue settle, heavy and quiet, behind your teeth. Let your shoulders slide down, as if gravity is kind. There is a particular kind of peace that comes when you stop rehearsing. When you stop replaying conversations. When you stop building tomorrow in your head. When you stop scanning the future for problems. Tonight, you can be a little less prepared. And in exchange, you can be a little more rested. Imagine the bed beneath you as a safe harbor. A shoreline of fabric. A quiet dock. The moment your body sinks into it, the day loosens its grip. In orbit, everything floats. In your room, everything can settle. That settling is a gift. Notice the weight of your body in small places. The back of your head, your shoulders, your hips, your legs, the gentle pressure where you meet the mattress. Each point of contact can be a quiet anchor. Nothing heavy. Just enough to remind your nervous system, you are here. Outside your walls, night continues. Somewhere, the moon is moving through its slow arc. Somewhere, the ocean is breathing. Somewhere, a city light is turning off in an upstairs window. The planet is full of small endings. A last cup washed. A last hallway crossed. A last lamp dimmed. And none of those endings are failures. They are simply the world becoming quiet again. If you've been afraid of letting go, consider this. The Earth lets go every evening. It rotates away from the sun without panic. It trusts that light will return. You can borrow that trust tonight. In and out. Now, let's place the day somewhere safe. Imagine a small wooden box on a shelf. Not locked, is less than #0. 9 is greater than, not hidden, just contained. You can place your worries in it one by one. A work task. A conversation. A bill. A question you don't know how to answer yet. You can close the lid gently. No slam. No anger. Just a quiet lid meeting wood. The box will still be there tomorrow. But you don't have to carry it into sleep. There may be a part of you that still feels alert, as if sleep is something you must earn. That part has been useful. It has kept you on time. It has kept you responsible. It has helped you take care of people and tasks and long days that didn't end when you wanted them to. So tonight, you don't have to fight that alertness. You can thank it quietly, the way you'd thank a hard-working friend at the end of a shift. And you can tell it gently, "I've got it from here." Sometimes the mind relaxes faster when it feels respected. So let your thoughts feel respected, even as you let them drift away. Imagine a long hallway made of nighttime. Along the hallway are doors, each one leading to something you could think about. Work, family, money. Health is less than hashome. Zero hash is greater than plans, regrets, news. You don't have to open any of them now. You can simply walk past, barefoot and unhurried, letting the doors remain closed. They will still be there in daylight. At the end of the hallway is a room with no job description. No expectations. No performance. No decisions. Just rest. You can step into that room now. Picture the room the way you wish the world could feel when it's gentle. A soft lamp in the corner, warm and low. A chair that looks like it has held many quiet evenings. A window where the night sky is present, not demanding. Outside that window, maybe you remember a time when you looked up and felt small in a comforting way. A camping trip where the stars were crowded and bright. A backyard where someone you loved sat beside you in silence. A late drive home where the moon followed the road like a calm companion. Those memories don't have to be perfect to be soothing. They only have to be real enough for your body to recognize safety. If a tender memory appears, let it arrive like a feather. No grabbing. No pulling. Just a light touch on the surface of your mind is less than #2. Zero hash is greater than. You might notice that the best memories are often quiet ones. A kitchen at night with one small light on. The sound of pages turning in a book. The steady rhythm of someone breathing nearby. Quiet is not emptiness. Quiet is space. And space is where your nervous system begins to heal. If you want another image, here is a simple one. Imagine a lake at night. The surface is dark and smooth. Moonlight draws a pale path across the water, a road made of reflection. Nothing is trying to impress you. The lake is just being a lake. You can be just you. Not the version of you who solves. Not the version of you who performs. Not the version of you who keeps everything together. Just the version of you who rests. Let the muscles around your eyes soften again. Let the space between your eyebrows widen. Let the corners of your mouth relax, as if you're no longer holding a mask in place. When you are ready, your breathing can become almost unnoticeable. Not shallow, just quiet. A small tide. A gentle repetition that tells your body, we are done for today. And if sleep doesn't come immediately, that's still okay. Rest is already happening. The shoulders are lower. The jaw is looser. The mind is less interested in running. This is the beginning of sleep, even before sleep arrives. Some nights are like winter, slow and heavy. Some are like spring, full of small openings. But every season, even the hardest one, has the same quiet rule. It passes. Time is still that flexible thread. Tonight, the thread is not pulling you forward. It is simply laying itself down beside you, soft as yarn, so you can sleep. The light in your mind can dim further now. Not by forcing it, is less than #0. 6# is greater than, but by letting it happen naturally, the way dusk happens. Sometimes, sleep begins with boredom in the best possible way. Not the sharp boredom of frustration. The soft boredom of safety. Nothing exciting is required. Nothing is about to happen. That is the kindness. If you notice sounds, let them be part of the lullaby. A car passing far away. A pipe settling. A neighbor's door closing softly. They don't mean you have to wake up. They mean the world is still turning while you rest. If you notice thoughts, let them drift like thin clouds across a night sky. You don't have to follow them. You don't have to solve them. You can watch them pass and return to breath. In and out. Now, bring back one gentle image from our journey, just one. Not a list, just a single picture to hold loosely. Maybe it's the aurora, like silk moving in slow water. Maybe it's the thin blue rim of atmosphere, like a line of watercolor. Maybe it's the blue sunset on Mars, soft and surprising. Maybe it's the quiet footprints in lunar dust, resting without being erased. Choose one, and let it become a small lantern. You don't have to stare at it. You can simply feel its presence. That lantern can sit beside you as you sleep. It doesn't need maintenance. It doesn't require explanation. It simply glows softly, reminding you that wonder can be calm. And now, let the lantern fade a little too. Not because it's gone, but because your mind doesn't need even images anymore. The goal isn't to keep listening perfectly. The goal is to drift. If you're still awake, that's okay. If you're half asleep, that's perfect. If you've already started to slip, let yourself go. If it helps, imagine you are lying on a small boat on very calm water. The boat isn't going anywhere important. It is simply floating, held by the lake the way your bed holds you. Above you, The sky is wide and quiet, and the stars are unhurried. You don't need to row. You don't need to navigate. The lake already knows how to be still. And your body already knows how to sleep. With each exhale, imagine the boat settling a millimeter deeper into the calm. Not sinking, just relaxing into the water's support. With each inhale, imagine the air arriving like a soft blanket laid over your chest. If a thought comes, let it be like a leaf landing on the surface. It touches, it rests, and then it drifts away on its own. You don't have to push it. You don't have to chase it. The lake will carry it onward. Somewhere on shore, a single porch light glows. Not bright, not demanding, just enough to say, there is warmth in the world. And even if you cannot see that light right now, you can feel what it represents. A quiet safety, a gentle belonging. And little by little, your awareness becomes lighter than the boat itself. It loosens from the day, loosens from the week, loosens from the name you wear in daylight, until there is only breath and softness and the simple permission to rest. All is well. Everything you need is already here. Air, warmth, a surface to hold you, a slow rhythm of breath, and the universe-wide, patient quiet will keep turning outside your window while you rest. Everything can slow a little more now. Not by effort, just by permission. If you notice the edges of your thoughts dissolving, let them dissolve. If you notice small gaps, little blank spaces appearing between sentences in your mind, let those gaps widen. Those gaps are not mistakes. They are doorways. In and out. It can help to imagine you are gently descending, not falling. Just descending the way a feather descends, or the way snow descends in a streetlight beam. Slow, calm, unhurried. You don't have to control the descent. You only have to allow it. Some nights, the mind wants to check one last thing. One last thought. One last worry. One last memory. If that happens, is less than #0. 6# is greater than treat it like a child standing in the doorway. You don't slam the door. You don't scold. You simply guide it back to bed with kindness. It's okay. We can rest now. Your body understands this language. It understands softness. It understands repetition. It understands safe, familiar rhythms. So let the rhythm become very simple. Breath and quiet. In and out. In and out. Imagine your bed is a wide field of dark grass at night. Not scary, just soft, cool, still. The grass bends under you gently. The earth beneath it is steady and warm. Above you, the sky is wide. Not a sky that demands you study it, just a sky that quietly exists. Stars are scattered like salt. And somewhere, beyond what you can see, the same earth we visited in the story is turning slowly, patiently, carrying millions of people into sleep. You are part of that turning. Part of that shared quiet. If you've been feeling separate, let the separation soften. Not through thinking, but through belonging. You belong to the night. You belong to the rhythm of breath. You belong to the simple human need to rest. Sometimes, sleep comes when the brain stops trying to arrive. So tonight, you do not have to arrive anywhere. You can simply drift. Imagine that small droplet again, floating in the cabin light. Round. Whole. Calm. Now imagine you are like that droplet, but made of breath and warmth. Held together not by effort, but by the quiet, natural intelligence of your body. Your body knows what to do. If the day has felt sharp, sleep will smooth it. If the day has felt heavy, sleep will lighten it. If the day has felt long, sleep will fold it up gently like a blanket and place it on a chair. You can let go of time now. Not forever, just for tonight. The clock can keep counting without you. The world can keep spinning without your supervision. Even your thoughts can keep moving without your participation. If a thought appears, you can label it softly, thought, and let it pass. If an image appears, you can label it softly, image, and let it pass. Nothing needs to be held. Now, let's become even quieter. Imagine the aurora again, but more faint. A thin ribbon. A soft wave. Now imagine it fading into darkness, not disappearing, just becoming too gentle to notice. Your awareness can do the same. It can become too gentle to notice. In and out. If your eyes are open, they can close. If they're already closed, they can rest even deeper. Let the muscles in your cheeks loosen. Let the small muscles around your mouth loosen. Let your hands become heavier. Let your fingers uncurl completely. The body loves to be invited, not commanded. So invite it. Invite it to soften. Invite it to sink. Is less than #2. 0 hash is greater than You can imagine a warm blanket settling over you like a layer of cloud. Not thick, just enough to feel sheltered, like the atmosphere around Earth. Thin, steady, protective. And as you breathe under that blanket of cloud, your thoughts can become like stars behind haze. Still there, but softened. Still present, but far away. If you've been having trouble sleeping lately, you don't have to solve that tonight. You only have to rest as well as you can for this moment. And this moment is already calmer than the last one. And the next moment can be calmer still. Sometimes sleep arrives in layers. First, the shoulders soften. Then the breath deepens. Then the jaw releases. Then the thoughts thin out. Then the mind forgets to monitor. You are already in the layers. Imagine a slow elevator descending. Not in a building, but in quietness itself. Each floor is calmer than the last. The doors never open. You don't have to step out. You just keep descending, gently. Floor by floor. Down through the noise. Down through the planning. Down through the remembering. Down towards softness. If a sound occurs outside, you don't have to label it as danger. It can be just a sound. A reminder that life is happening while you rest. If you notice your heartbeat, you don't have to worry about it. It's a steady engine, like the hum we heard in the cabin. It has been working quietly for you all day. Now it can keep working while you sleep. In and out. Let the story fade further into the background. Let the words become less important than the tone. Less important than the rhythm. Less important than the simple feeling of being accompanied. Because that's what this is. A quiet companionship. A soft lantern. If you're still awake, you can choose one phrase and let it repeat gently in the mind, like a mantra that doesn't demand anything. You are safe. You are warm. You can rest. You are safe. You are warm. You can rest. And if you forget the phrase, that's perfect too. Forgetting is part of falling asleep. Now, imagine the night sky gently closing like a book. Not shutting, closing softly. A bookmark placed between pages. The story will still be there. But you don't need to read it anymore. Your body can take over. Your breathing can take over. The quiet can take over. And if you're already drifting, Just drift. If you're halfway between waking and sleep, stay there. It's a gentle shoreline. A place where nothing is required. The planet continues its patient turning. The sky continues its patient holding. And you continue your patient breathing. All is well. Now we can let the story become even thinner. Like mist. Like a veil of cloud moving slowly across the moon. You don't need images now. Is less than #2. 0 hash is greater than. You don't need facts. You don't need the window, or the cabin, or the orbit. You only need comfort. And comfort is already here. In and out. If your mind is still reaching for something to hold, let it hold something very small. A single breath. A single word. Soft. Or you can hold the feeling of a safe room. A room where nothing is expected of you. A room where you can be quiet without apology. You can imagine the room as a little island at night. Outside the island, waves move gently. Inside the island, everything is still. The waves don't crash. They only fold. In and out. In and out. And with each fold of the wave, a little more of your day is washed clean. Not erased. Just softened. If a memory rises, gentle or heavy, let it rise like a bubble. It reaches the surface. It touches air. And it pops quietly. No drama. No struggle. If a worry rises, let it do the same. Up and away. There is nothing you must solve in the dark. Dark is for rest. Dark is for repair. Dark is for quiet. The brain is like the ocean at night. Even when the surface looks still, it is still moving gently underneath. It is sorting. It is filing. It is smoothing sharp edges. You don't have to help it. If you can't sleep right away, you can rest anyway. Rest is not a failure. Rest is already success. Let your face be heavy. Let your shoulders be heavy. Let your hands be heavy. Let your legs be heavy. Heaviness can be safety. It means you are held by the bed, held by the room, held by the night. In and out. You can imagine a slow snowfall. Not outside necessarily, just in the mind. Soft flakes drifting down, covering the day, covering the sharp places, covering the noise. Snow doesn't argue with the ground. It just settles, and the ground becomes quiet. You can become quiet too. If you want, you can return to one simple phrase again. Not fast, not forced. You are safe. You are warm. You can rest. You are safe. You are warm. You can rest. And if you stop repeating, that is okay. Stopping is part of falling asleep. Somewhere, the moon is still making its slow path across the sky. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to name it. It can simply be there, doing what it does. And you can simply be here, doing what you do. Sleeping, or drifting, or resting quietly on the edge of sleep. The night does not demand perfection. It only invites softness. If your breathing becomes shallow for a moment, it's okay. If it becomes deep, it's okay. If you forget to pay attention to it, that is best of all. Because then your body is taking care of you. Imagine again that thin blue rim around Earth. Not as an image, just as a feeling. A boundary that protects. A layer that softens harshness into gentleness. Now imagine you have your own thin blue rim tonight. A boundary around your bed, your room, your body. A layer that says, not tonight. Not tonight, worries. Not tonight, pressure. Not tonight, noise. Tonight is for rest. And if you think about tomorrow, you can let tomorrow stay where it belongs. In daylight. On the other side of sleep. Tomorrow will come. But it does not need your attention yet. Right now, the only thing that matters is that you are here. Breathing. Held. Safe. Sometimes, it helps to imagine that your thoughts are like lights in a city seen from above. One by one, the lights go out. Not because something is wrong, but because people are going to bed. A light goes out. Another. Another. And soon, the city becomes dim, calm, quiet. That is what your mind can do too. Let a light go out. Let another go out. Let another go out. You don't have to force it. Lights turn off naturally when the day is done. And your day is done. In and out. If you're still awake, you can listen without listening. You can hear without holding on to meaning. Like rain on a roof. Like waves on a shore. And if you're asleep already, then the words can simply pass by, like wind passing through trees. All is well. The world is turning. The night is holding you. Now, there is almost nothing left to do. Nothing to hold. Nothing to understand. Nothing to carry. Just rest. In and out. If sleep is already taking you, let it take you. If you're still hovering near the edge, that's okay too. Edges are gentle places. Shorelines. The soft meeting point between day and night. You don't have to cross quickly. You can drift across slowly. The way the earth drifts into darkness. Without fear. Without rush. Your body has been working for you all day. Even on the days when you felt scattered, it kept going. Even on the days when you felt anxious, it kept breathing. Even on the days when you felt too tired to try, it still carried you. So tonight, let the body do what it knows. Let it repair. Let it soften. Let it sleep. You are safe. You are warm. You can rest. The room around you is quiet. The air is steady. The bed is holding you. And outside your walls, the universe is still doing its calm work. Stars glowing without effort. Planets turning without hurry. The moon moving through its slow, familiar path. You don't have to watch any of it tonight. It will still be there. Wide and quiet. If this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself whenever you're ready. And don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys on Sleepy Insight channel. Here, no one rests alone. Every story is a soft lantern in the dark. Good night. Sleep well. And let the world turn without you for a while.